Hello everyone. I'm Wejdan Abu Shammala. When I was asked how I would like to be introduced to the audience here, I said, after all I had lived during the war in Gaza, titles hold no meaning. There is no point in saying I'm a content writer, voiceover artist, translator, or even journalist writer that publish many articles with many international newspapers and websites like Corée International, Washington Report, and another. The most important way to define myself and to introduce myself is survivor from the genocide and real witness while all of my family remains trapped in Gaza Strip, unfortunately. I'm here trying to convey the true message, the voice of people in Gaza during the genocide. When I was told that I should recount the experience of the people in Gaza during the genocide in my own words, I wasn't sure where I could start. Should I speak as a student who lost her dream of finishing her final year and graduating from the university like thousands of students in Gaza Strip who lost the chance to complete their education in schools or in universities? Or should I speak as a young woman who lost over 200 members of her family during the genocide, like hundreds of families who have been entirely wiped off the civil registry forever? Or should I speak as a young woman who has been displaced countless times with her family searching for safety like 2 million Gazans in Gaza Strip? Or should I speak as a young woman who was injured when the Israeli occupation bombed a house near to my house like hundreds and thousands in Gaza? Or should I speak as a woman who lost her home like thousands in Gaza? Or should I talk about my experience with 2 younger siblings, one of them 3 years old, Aboud, and another 5 years old, Farah? They only know playing and gaming, but now the only thing that they know is fear, terrifying, and waking up terrified in the middle of the night to the sound of Israeli airstrikes that don't stop. Or should I speak as a young woman who lost her friends in this genocide, and until this moment, I cannot believe? Or should I speak as a person who struggled with her family like every Gazan, for example, baking bread over wood fires, washing clothes, searching the market several times for cleaning supplies like toilet papers, soap, basic things, everyone that have it? Or should I speak as a daughter whose father is struggling to find his medication after undergoing surgery that required extensive care, while thousands of injured people now cannot find even the painkiller? Or should I speak as a woman who is evacuated Gaza Strip alone after my father pressured me to evacuate, saying, "You had an acceptance to complete your last year of bachelor degree and survivor from the genocide." And the last sentence that he say is, "I'm fine now because if we will be killed, we have someone to tell the world about our story. You can now tell the world if we'll be killed about our story." Or should I speak as a young woman who cannot contact with her family because Israeli occupation cut internet connection off, and my family should walk a long distance to get internet connection and stay in the street to call me and contact me? Or should I speak as a journalist who faced countless challenges to document the truth of the suffering, as a journalist who stepped out to cover stories of war, not knowing if she will return alive or in pieces to her family, as many journalists in Gaza Strip. Honestly, I don't know how I can explain a year and a few months of suffering in a few minutes. This pain would take decades to describe, but I will start by sharing my story of being displaced and injured in the same time. On January 23rd, 2024 at 5 a.m., my family and I woke up after only 3 uneasy hours because the heavy pumping. We all slept in the living room because we said, if we be killed, we want to kill together. No one's still alive. If we want to be killed, we want to be killed together in the same time. So we sleep in the same room, in the living room, because we need this. At 5:30, I prayed, then I come back to my bed near to the window, and I talked with my family and my mother, and we talking about leaving as soon as the sun come up, because the sound of four planes and tanks was terrifying and being louder and louder. While I talked, the Israeli occupation pumped a house next to ours, breaking the windows in my head and injured in my head, as you can see in the picture. This picture. We have been displaced, hearing gunfire and heavy shelling. We saw tanks and knowing we could be killed any moment. This is just very simple part of suffering of 2 million Gazans who have been displaced countless times, from place to another, because Israeli occupation say you have to displaced from this place to another, and they claimed that it's a safe place. No safe place in Gaza Strip. As a journalist, I have faced countless challenges while trying to document the stories of war. I remember one particular and specific day when I went to the hospital to report a story about Akram Abu Shammala, 3 years old child killed by Israeli occupation. He's my cousin. When I went to the hospital to report story about Akram Abu Shammala, Israeli occupation pumped home near to my home. He was with his 8 years old brother, Abdul Rahim, on their way home from the supermarket after buying some snacks. Okay? On my way to the hospital to interview Akram's mother, a mother grappling with a huge pain of losing her youngest child while watching another struggle to heal the Israeli occupation pumped building near to me, the dust, the pain, it was a stark reminder of how life in Gaza is hard. Even as a journalist trying to tell these stories, we are constantly walking a thin between the life and death in the same time. This story is not just about Akram and Abdul Rahim. It's about the countless children in Gaza who face unthinkable situations. It's about mothers who bury one child while holding on to another, praying for their survival. This story, like a lot of family stories, that they lost their children. You can see, this is Abdul Rahim, brother of Akram. Abdul Rahim was injured and had many surgeries and operations. But the hardest part of this is Abdul Rahim, he didn't know that Akram was killed. He guessed that Akram in the operation room have a surgery and he only injured. And I didn't tell Abdul Rahim about this. And after this interview, I went to my mother and say, I need a therapy. Even I'm an adult and I need to be strong and so on. Ayman al-Jidi. Ayman al-Jidi was a Palestinian journalist working for Al-Quds Today channel. On December 25, 2024, he was at Al-Auda Hospital in Al-Nusayrat refugee camp in central Gaza. Waiting the birth of his first child, his wife was in labor inside the hospital, and Ayman was outside excited to see the first child, full of hope. But as he waited, an Israeli airstrike targeted the area. Ayman, along with 4 of his friend journalists. In a heartbreaking twist, Ayman's son was born in the same day of his father's death. His wife, unaware of her husband's fate at the time of delivery, gave birth to their child, who will grow up never having met his brave father. Can you imagine bring your daughters or your son without father, or in the same day of father death or killing, we can say? In Gaza, journalists face serious dangers every day. The Israeli occupation doesn't respect the rights, even though the international law protects journalists. Their job is to tell the truth, share the story of people suffering, but in Gaza, doing this job can cost them their life. Actually, in the first month of genocide, my mother prevented me to write anything or to publish anything about the genocide, and she prevented me to make any interview and write any articles for the international website or a newspaper by saying, Wejdan, I'm afraid that I made, like, you will be killed, targeted by Israeli occupation, or the home will be targeted, and we have many children, and we have in our home 45 members from our family. They came from north of Gaza to south in our home. So please don't go out, don't write anything, don't publish anything. But after 3 or 4 months, I produced her and I went to hospitals, to UNRWA schools to document the stories about the genocide and about the suffering. Many journalists have been killed while working. They were not carrying weapons or gunfire. They were simply taking photos, writing a story. Some have been hurt or arrested, and many media offices and press cars have been pumped, even when they were clearly marked press. More than 200 Palestinian journalists have been killed during the war on Gaza. These journalists were working to share the truth and document the suffering of their people. These actions are not just attacked on journalists, they are attacks on the truth and the freedom also. In the war on Gaza, the Israeli occupation hasn't only attacked homes and civilians, but has also targeted professors, doctors, and scholars, some of the most important and intelligent people in Gaza. These people are not just teachers or professors, no. They are the ones who help to build Gaza's future. They teach students, create knowledge, and work to make life better for everyone in Gaza Strip, even if we have a siege. But in this war, many of them have been killed, their home destroyed, and their families hurt. Among those have lost are incredible editors and professors like Rifat Al-Arair, Professor of English, Dr. Sufyan Taye, an expert professor in physics, and Dr. Anwar Nassar, a professor specializing in educational development. Here you can see Dr. Sufyan Taye, here's Dr. Rifat Al-Arair, and here Dr. Anwar Nassar. And a lot of professors and teachers were killed during the genocide. They were not just teachers, they were mentors who shaped the lives of thousands of students. Their killing are not just personal loss, but also tragedy for Gaza's entire academic community. Yesterday, I finally managed to talk with my family after a long time because the internet was cut off. I called to check on them if they are fine or not or so on. But what they told me was heartbreaking. They said, there is no food in the market. They haven't eaten meat since 4 months ago. When I spoke to my little brother, Aboud, he said, Wejdan, when you come back to Gaza, I just want only chips. Imagine if your children were like the children of Gaza. They need simple things. My father told me that even trying to find food is dangerous. Bombs are falling everywhere, and there is no safe place to go. Israeli occupation, with all its advanced technology, is bombing civilians and also tents and children. They destroyed homes and lives, leaving families like mine to live fear every day. This is life in Gaza. This is a simple and short part of the reality. Children in Gaza dream of small things like ships, and parents risk their lives just to find bread. Think of your family living this way. This is what Gazan people face every day. Finally, nothing I say can truly describe the reality that the people of Gaza and my family are living through. Words cannot capture, cannot describe the truth. But I want to say, Gaza needs you. Gaza sees you. You have the power to save Gaza through a boycott, raising awareness, and taking action. Even every small act can make a difference. Write, publish, speak, talk, boycott. You can make a difference. Please, don't leave Gaza alone. Please, don't leave the children in Gaza alone. Gaza needs you to stand by it, and Gaza has a hope in humanity in your hearts. Don't leave Gaza alone. Don't leave Gazans children alone. For Gaza and its children, do whatever you can do to stop the genocide. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.